Happy New Year. If you're watching this, there's a good chance you just started a new routine. Maybe you're on a new program or you're chasing the best possible version of yourself. And that's a good thing. But before you fully commit to forcing progress week after week, I want to talk to you for just a second because I've been exactly where you are and I've learned a couple things along the way that I want to save you time in. So let's dive into programming. I used to believe that if I had a program and it said, hey, it's time to add weight, I added the weight. It didn't matter if I was sleeping well, it didn't matter if my calories were low, it didn't matter if my life stresses were jam packed all the way up top. I thought that I was being disciplined, just adhering to it blindly. But what it actually did was give me progress for some time, and it came with a lot of lingering injuries in the long term. Injuries that I had to nurse my way through and then eventually work to overcome. Now, here's the problem most people don't talk about training. Your training stress doesn't exist in a vacuum, it's not isolated. It stacks on top of poor sleep, underfueling, work stress, family stress, you name it, it's all cumulative. But a lot of programs, especially purist linear periodization programs, assume your recovery is perfect. They assume every week looks the same, and real life is never linear. But before I go deeper into this, let me give you an explanation on what linear periodization actually is. So, there are two different ways that people organize workouts. Typically, if you're following the kind of structure, you have linear and then you have undulating periodization. In linear training, it's like climbing a staircase. You start with lighter weights and move on to increase the reps. Then you progress after a few weeks. The weights typically get heavier, then the reps go down. To give you a more numerical example, say you're doing 3 sets of 12 reps with a lighter weight. Then a few weeks later, you're doing, say, 4 sets for 6 to 8 reps with heavier weight. It's the same general idea every workout. You're just slowly increasing the intensity over time. This works great if you're new to lifting or you just want something simple and kind of predictable. But the problem is most people are way too eager to progress. They move on way too quickly. And that mindset is the exact thing that turns those little aches and pains into chronic issues that devolve into injuries. Now, injuries rarely come from one bad rep, but they come from fatigue that stacks faster than your recovery. Your joints will get inflamed, your tendons will lose their elasticity, movement quality degrades, but your strength numbers might go up for a while until something snaps. And that's exactly what happened to me. In my early 20s, I was loading up a barbell with more weight than I had business lifting, and I had some nagging back pain that led to a spasm. All the weight came down on me, and it took me out of lifting for about a year's time. I had to relearn how to walk, squat, train, essentially all over again, and I don't want that for you. See, I paid the price for what I neglected, my body's ability to recover and adapt. Your ability to adapt to training is directly tied to how well you recover. And when your recovery is compromised, your tolerance for load drops. And this isn't a matter of ego, right? This is where you have to start asking yourself the real question and shift from, hey, let's just train harder to let's train smarter. And this isn't just anecdotal. Like, we have data on this. Back in 2019, Alejandro and colleagues from J Sports Physio Performance studied a group of well-trained cyclists. Researchers compared traditional linear training, that staircase I talked to you about, to HRV guided training, where intensity was adjusted based off of daily readiness, using heart rate variability as that main marker. After about 8 weeks, the HRV guided group improved peak power output, threshold performance, their ability to take in oxygen, and time trial results greatly improved compared to the traditional linear group. What's important here is why. The HRV guided group didn't train hard less often, they trained hard when they were ready for it. And just so you understand what I'm tossing around, HRV is essentially a window into your nervous system. It's when your HRV is higher, your body is more resilient to stress. When it's lower, your recovery is compromised. So instead of forcing intensity on bad recovery days, these athletes adjusted, and over time they got better results with less accumulated fatigue. It was literally a double win. That insight changed how I program. Now I use undulating periodization instead of a rigid linear progression to account for my recovery needs. And so you understand what I mean. What undulating training is, it's more akin to like riding waves. The weight and reps change week to week, sometimes even day to day. If I were to give you a hard example, imagine all this in the same week, right? So one day you would lift heavy, say for like 5 reps. Another day you'd lift with a medium load for 8 to 10 reps, and then say the last day you'd lift for lighter loads for 15 to 25 reps. So instead of waiting weeks to change things, your body gets different arrays of stimulus all the time. This helps you build strength and muscle at the same time, and it keeps you from straining your central nervous system with a bunch of heavy load week after week without fail. That's ultimately going to lead to an injury. And guess what? Recovery's built into the plan. It's literally like you're winning on all fronts. So if readiness is down, the goal isn't to improve toughness with this. The goal is to stay healthy enough to train again tomorrow, next week, and then eventually next year. Because the best looking, strongest, and most robust people in the long run, right, aren't the ones who push hardest every session. They're the ones who stay healthy long enough to stack years of quality training on top of each other. And that's when they reap the results. So if you're starting a new program this year, and you're already ignoring sleep, underfueling, and pushing through pain just to stay on schedule, pause. That's not discipline. That is a fast track to burnout and injury, and I'm speaking from experience. Train to adapt, not to impress a spreadsheet. And if you want programming that accounts for real life and recovery, stress, and longevity, that's exactly what I focus on. Check the link below for more. See y'all next video.